My number 3 edge rusher, Joe Tryon. And this is a guy that is extremely intriguing at 6'4", 251. You watch him, and there's a lot of reason to be excited about Joe Tryon. And you just look at his body type, look at his frame. It looks like a frame that could get a little bit bigger. Like, I don't see 251 there. If you're telling me in that shot right there that you look at in front of you, he's 251, you got me, because I don't see 251. But that said, he looks like he could put on a little bit of weight, but he's a fluid. He's just fluid as an athlete, which gets you excited because you think that fluidity can transfer over to his pass rushing ability, and he's just scratching the surface there as well. So that fluidity is what gets me most excited about Joe Tryon as we flip over his card and take a look at his strengths, weaknesses, and projection and comp. So his strengths, his size, at 6'4", 251, he's a guy that for me just just has the kind of size that bodes well for him being a dynamic player at the next level. You know, I talked about Quincy Roche not having the size that you like, the length that you would really want. Joe Tryon does have that. He's got a frame that I think can add mass. I think he can get bigger. Again, is he 251 in that shot that we're looking at? I'm hard-pressed to believe that, but maybe he is 251 in that shot. And if he is, that makes me believe he could get to 257, 258, you know, and still not lose any of his athleticism, speaking of which. His athleticism and his length, I talked about his length briefly, but I just want to go ahead and hammer that point home. That's one of his strengths as well. He's got long arms. You can see them in front of you there, which helps him in the pass rushing department and in the run game as well. And I don't think he uses that as well as he should. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But the athleticism is his calling card. I think his athleticism and his fluidity, man, is what is the biggest trait that gets me excited. He can be stout at the point of attack. Realize what I said there. Can be stout at the point of attack. I did not say stout at point of attack. There's a difference. The fact that he can be, that I saw it enough, that I know he's capable, gets me excited, and I make it a strength. However, he needs to be more consistent with that. There are times where there were too many times where guys ran right by Joe Tryon, and I'm like, hey, guy, make the tackle. Shed that guy. Be more involved in the run game. Be more assertive. But he can be stout at the point of attack. Comfortable in space. That comfortability that I talk about here translates over into his movement skills as a pass rusher. So I want to talk about both of those things now, because this is my favorite Joe Tryon trait, is that not only is he comfortable in space, so you can drop him as an underneath defender. For me, I watch him as an underneath zone dropping defender, and I say, okay, he looks comfortable. That there isn't any wrinkles. There isn't anything that I need ironed out with him dropping at a 45 or a 90-degree angle. I got no issues with him. He's not looking back and then sprinting to that area. Eyes are on quarterback, zone eyes as he's dropping, and he's doing it smoothly with fluidity. All right, so he is comfortable dropping in hook zones underneath or getting out into the flats in cover 3. Like, this isn't an issue for him. And then, like I said, it transfers over into his rush. So when I say fluidity as a rusher, there are certain guys that their movements when they rush are choppy. They don't look smooth. They look mechanical, okay? Like they're thinking about the moves. I think of a guy, and this might be going back a little too far for some of you, but a guy like Andre Carter. I remember when he was drafted by the 49ers once upon a time. He played in Washington as well. Big, strong, muscularly cut guy, right? But he was so muscle bound that his movements were always mechanical. They were choppy. It was hard for him to put moves together. When he would spin, it would take him forever to spin. There was no fluidity to it. Another guy that I feel like is not as fluid, even though he's a dynamic pass rusher, is Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack's rush isn't smooth. It isn't. Von Miller's rush is silky smooth. I mean, it's like your favorite alcoholic beverage where you take a sip and you go, oh man, that is rich. That is smooth. It just goes down easy. And then there are other alcohols that you drink and you're like, man, that was rough on the palate, okay? That is a burning sensation. Stay away from the Burnett's unless you want a hangover tomorrow and a nice headache. Some of those guys don't have the smoothest pass rush, but they get the job done, okay? The smooth guys, the fluid guys, those are the guys that win with ease. I talk about this sometimes when I make analogies with baseball. An easy gas, when a pitcher just comes up and his motion is it's clean, it's fluid, it's easy, and then he just strokes it and the gun says 101 and you're like, damn, that didn't look hard at all. That was effortless. That's what his fluidity as a pass rusher looks like. It's just smooth, it's easy. You see, he's not struggling to do this. He just needs more in his arsenal. Can be explosive with his get off. Right now, that's his ticket, is that he's got an explosive get off that scares you to death as a tackle right now. He times up the snap, and before you can even get out of your stance and get into your kick slide, he's by you turning the corner, and your head's spinning, and you're like, that shit isn't happening again. So you know what you start doing now? Is you start getting out of your stance even faster, okay? And so you get out of your stance faster, you open up your hips faster, and now he goes to this inside counter, which is a crossover to the speed. And like I said, you don't, look, this pass rushing thing isn't rocket science, man. It's just about the mental gymnastics of being able to outduel the guy in front of you, okay? You want him thinking speed when you're going power. You want him thinking power when you're going speed. You want him looking speed outside and you go inside. It's all about making that guy confused. He doesn't know if you're coming or you're going. And with Joe Tryon right now, it isn't much. Okay? He's got two pitches. Speed and crossover. And in the league, honestly, you don't need much more. You know what Dwight Freeney had? He had 2 pitches and a half. Okay, Dwight Freeney had speed up the field, and we all know about the spin, which was the counter to the speed. You shit your pants looking for speed. You open up hips. Now he's got you spin to the inside. You're done. You're baked. You're cooked. And every now and again, he'd get you looking speed, or you're worrying about the spin, and you're thinking so much. Speed, spin, which one is it? Here comes power. That was the half. Joe Tryon isn't there yet, but what I'm saying is 2 moves is really all you need. One just needs to be elite, and then the other off of that can get you where you need to go. He's got that right now, and that's why it's exciting, because just off those 2 moves in 2019, and he wasn't a every down rusher. He's a stand-up guy. He's moving around. He's dropping into coverage. He gets you 8 sacks. Just off of sheer quickness off the snap and a crossover off of the speed rush, which I think needs to be improved. So the fact that his fastball isn't even 99 miles an hour at this point, and he's still able to beat you effortlessly with the crossover, you feel good about Joe Tryon. Weaknesses. No pass rush plan at this point. None whatsoever. He's trying to win off of sheer athleticism. I'm better than you as an athlete, so I should win. And it does win sometimes. You get the slow-footed tackle, the heavy-footed, waist bender, and he's beat. He's got nothing for Joe Tryon. Nothing. But you get the athletic guy that can move his feet, and Joe's not giving him anything to think about. So he's able to stay in front of him. Secondary moves need polish. I feel like he's one of those guys that at this point, he goes speed. It doesn't work. He gives up. He goes bull rush. He goes speed to power, and that's not really one of his better moves at this point when he just tries to go bull rush. Like, that tackle's not fazed by it. It doesn't work. He's not trying to spin, or he's not trying to jump outside or jump back inside. He's like, okay, you got me. I'll get you next time. Don't give up on the play. Don't give up on your rush, because you don't know what's happening down the field. That quarterback may be, like I just said earlier, falling right into your lap. Spin back inside and look what you found. Got you a sack. Needs to fill out his frame. I think he can get bigger, personally. I think that 6'4", 251, like a lot of these guys this year, the numbers on them weight-wise are going to be a little off because there was no combine to confirm that. So you're going off of program numbers from, in his case, there was no 2020. So we're talking about 6'4", 251 2 years ago. Like, is that legitimately what he was? I don't think he was 250 in 2019. I think that was a program weight. They fabricated that. He probably was more like 242, 241. I think he could get to 250, a legit 250, 255. I could be wrong, and he could be 250 as I'm looking at him right now. I don't think that was the case, though. So I think he could fill out his frame. Could be more assertive versus tight ends. My biggest pet peeve for Joe Tryon was he got his ass kicked in the run game by tight ends, and even some tight ends were able to block him in the pass game as well. Like, hey, look, man, I better never catch my elite edge rusher getting hemmed up by a tight end unless he's an elite blocker. And there are some of those out there. There aren't many of those guys in college, though. All right? You shouldn't be getting your ass hemmed up by a collegiate tight end consistently in a game where they just feel comfortable enough to not even block you with the tackle. Just, hey, tight end, handle his ass. Handle my lightweight. Look, don't let me see that shit happening consistently. Kick his ass in the run game. Kick his ass, Seabass. Kick his ass in the run game. Make them remember why it is that they need to put a tackle on you. And if they think it's okay, they better double you in the run game if they want to run to your side with a tight end blocking you. He's getting his ass kicked by tight ends in the run game. He's getting blocked one-on-one in the pass game by tight ends. I'm like, hey, Joe, come on, bro. That's not how we do things at the next level, man. If you fancy yourself as a legitimate pass rusher and an edge rusher, a guy that sets a physical edge in the run game, you got to punk tight ends, man. They can't be doing that to you, bro. And then could have used more seasoning. Honestly, he needed 2020, man. He did. He could be the number one pass rusher in this draft class with a stout 2020 under his belt. But because he left us with this really nice taste in our mouth, but we wanted more, it's like an appetizer. It's 2019, 13 games, 12 and a half tackles for loss, 8 sacks. He left us with this great taste in our mouth, but we wanted more, and we didn't get any more. So you're left to wonder, what can he become? Would that next year, would he have rushed more? Could this number have grown to 12 and a half sacks in 2020 with more pass rush work and more emphasis in getting after the quarterback? Because he was more of a blitzer that, lined up and rushed off the edge in obvious passing situations, but he was more of a blitzer. Walked him around, moved him around, dropped him into coverage. What if in 2020 they decided, you know what? We're going to let you rush a hell of a lot more. That number could have grew to 12 and a half, and now we're talking about him as the best pass rusher in this draft. You never know. Anyway, I digress. My projection for him, late first, early second. I got no problems with him going late in the first. I think he's more of in the early 30s. We're talking 35, 36 type of guy, personally. But my comp for him is Vic Beasley. And again, comps are not made for you to go straight to what that guy's career has been or was or is. The comp is what I see. I told you, when I see a guy, what's the first person I think of? And I thought of Vic Beasley at Clemson, standing up in a 2-point stance, rushing after the quarterback, or Vic Beasley putting his hand in the dirt and beating somebody off the edge with pure speed. Don't forget, Vic Beasley had a season where he led the NFL in sacks in the year that the Falcons went to the Super Bowl. Very capable. All right. Joe Tryon has a lot of those same attributes, similar size, body type, all of that good jazz. He just needs to put it together better than Vic Beasley did at the NFL level. Joe Tryon is my third rated pass rusher in the 2021 NFL draft.
Louie.